guilt, and separation. For the most part today, I just wanted you to hear the names of these core wounds because I'm going to tie them in with something in Western astrology, which is happening now, and it's becoming intense, more intense, more intense, more intense, like this drumbeat from some tribal group that's becoming almost unbearable. And it's coming through the energy of a system known as Chiron. That's Chiron. And in astrology, it's actually known as the wounded warrior. And warrior, well, some of you might be thinking, well, I'm not a Pisces, I can nod off. Well, that's how little you know about astrology, because you're no sign in the zodiac. You're all 12 signs and then some. You are the signs, you are embodiment of a universe. So it just may be that you weren't born under the sign of Pisces, but someone like myself would look at your chart and go, whoa, well, it's over here. And it can be addressed and adjusted in such and such a manner. So the wounded warrior in Pisces is actually responsible for sorrow, grief, and sadness. And this sorrow, grief, and sadness is coming through these 6 core wounds. What have you repressed? What have you denied? What shame are you holding? Where's the rejection? Who rejected you? How have you rejected you? Guilt. Guilt. I'll probably do 100 programs on guilt. Guilt gets me crazy. Guilt is man-made. Actually, probably all these wounds are man-made to a degree. But guilt is man-made, and religion reinforced. And then there's separation. So these core wounds are coming up now, and they're actually causing a lot of havoc. They're making people sick because people are tired, and therefore the phrase sick and tired. I'm not sure which come first, the chicken or the egg. I think they're tired and sick. Doesn't make much difference. One is as bad as the other. So as these core wounds surface through this wounded warrior energy in Pisces, you may actually find, for some reason, you're on a crying jag. You just wake up and you're sobbing. Or you can't wait to watch the next Hallmark movie because it gives you a reason to get the Kleenex box out. Or there is a sense of loss. Someone dies, someone leaves, prematurely, whatever that means, because there is no such thing as a premature death. Hate to tell you. Every death is right on target, exactly honoring the contract that the person signed on for in this lifetime. You're not going to live to be 120 in every lifetime, nor would you want to. Sometimes you have a contract to leave the minute you're born because the parents and you had growth that could only be accomplished that way. Sometimes you leave in the middle of a relationship that you don't think has come to fruition. It came to fruition. It gave you what it needed to give you. My husband died when I was in my 20s. That's an early out. And it gave me what I needed. And in an odd way, it gave my son things that he needed, although it took a long time for that to become evident. It gave him an inner strength, an inner understanding, a compassion that beats all compassions that I've ever seen. So things that seem so terrible, these griefs, these losses, these wounds, no, they're only here to elevate you in the long run. If you get stuck in a pity party connected with them, you're on your own, because I have not an ounce of sympathy or empathy for a pity party. We don't have time for that now. If you haven't looked, time is of the essence. You know not when your last breath is. Even though you're God in drag, you actually don't know that. And why do I say you're God in drag? Because I have elevated you. Because I know the core of me. I know the light of me and the love of me. And darn it, that's the love and light of you. Which circles back to the sorrow of the choices in almost every political office. The choices cannot have been healthy because we are not healthy. So it behooves us to get healthy. And as this wounded warrior in Pisces goes and does its work, the goal here is not only to help you grow in love, but through love to gain understanding. Understanding is critical to having compassion. And if these things don't make any sense to you, oh, she's off her rocker, she's talking love and understanding and compassion, I appreciate that. I honor where you're at. I am just so thankful I'm not there any longer. Because that world you're in is bleak, it's dark, and it's kind of a dead-end road. So using the other tools of looking at your wounds and embracing them, that's the thing. You know, some of the people that I deal with, they tell me, well, I've been to a therapist for 30 years and I'm not much better off. Well, they didn't need to tell me that because I can see they're not much better off. Because some of the therapists are telling you, run from the wound. It's just the opposite. Or put it down. I'm going to tell you, hug it until it's part of you. And it's that part of the tapestry of you that maybe it's the shadow side. But a tapestry without shadow isn't very interesting. Your shadow side is beautiful. The more you love it, the more it loses its shadow. And it becomes illuminated. Some of the true illuminated beings that walk the planet, they cast no shadow when they walk. And that's the truth. And that is so interesting to me. I don't know these guys. Where are they? I want them to teach me what it takes to cast no shadow wherever I walk. I want them to teach me that wherever I walk, there's a seed of love that's sown. Wherever I walk, a rainbow is behind me. Wherever I walk, someone's left with a smile, or even perhaps scratching their head, but hopefully a lighter heart. Because I don't know about you folks, but it's very challenging to keep that heart light these days. For the last 2 years, I read and delved very deeply into some of the horrors of what mankind is doing to each other. I really never wanted to know. I wanted to learn. I wanted to help a person. But apparently they, my helpers, thought, you better know. You better know, you better learn, so that you can help embrace it. And embracing helps dissolve it. Don't run from it. Don't hate it. Because what you hate grows. What you love grows too. Pick. Why pick one? I don't want more disaster on this earth. There's enough. We've harmed enough people. We've done enough damage. I think it's time now to choose the other way. I might be all alone in that. I might be crazy. It's okay with me. A majority of one, doesn't bother me at all. So that's the wounded warrior that's cooking. There's a lot in Pisces. Oh, here's the other final lovely thing that this wounded warrior is bringing up. It's bringing up your secrets. It's bringing up everybody's secrets. And this has been cooking really since about 2012, which is why nobody can get away with anything. So I have to laugh. If you're having an affair and you think it's going to be secret, it's going to be now evident. If you're doing a little bit of embezzling, which is really a joke, it's kind of like a little bit of being pregnant, it's going to be coming into the light. A couple of years ago, a couple that I knew at the time sent their young son to me because the son was very edgy and losing weight and miserable. And it took me a few sessions with this son to really dig down to understand why he was so miserable. Well, he was so miserable because little bit by little bit, he was stealing money from his company. Now, they hadn't found out. Nobody knew. But I knew. And I'm looking at this kid, he's probably in his young 40s at the time, 3 young babies, a beautiful family, and he's getting sicker, sickest. And the only thing that could happen here was to get sickest, and sickest takes you out. So I finally plucked up the courage and said to him, listen, if you want to heal, go and simply tell the company what you had done. Now, oddly, I'm thinking, oh my God, he must have stolen millions because he was getting so sick. My brain just went, this must really be awful. Well, finally, he said it was something like $20,000. Well, I don't have $20,000, and it's nothing to, sneeze at. It's a bit of money, especially when you don't have it, but it's not the end of the world. That's the kind of money that you could take a loan, you could refinance your house, you could do something creative, you could go to your folks, and if they're in the position, they could give you a loan, you could do something, and you buck up and you go in and you give the money back and get on with getting well. Well, that's the kind of secret that's going to come up. Interestingly, he was too afraid. He could not hear me. And thankfully, I don't know the outcome. But in my heart and soul, I can tell you, I don't think it's going to be a good outcome because secrets are coming up. I'd rather you spit it out now so it can be corrected. No one's going to hold it. What boss in their right mind is going to say, you're out of here if, and I think he was a good worker, they're going to say thank you. And the bond would be stronger and better than ever. Can you imagine if we all came clean? Well, by golly, we would have 2 clean people running for the highest office in the land. What a concept. I understand and I have compassion why he would be afraid. I get that. And I have no judgment. I actually love him more because he's afraid. And sometimes when I think of him, I try to work and love his fear so that eventually he can make that inner soul correction. And these are soul corrections that every one of us have to make. So secrets are a-coming up. And I'm telling you, and I've been telling people now, probably since the first of our year, but especially the Chinese New Year, which I actually resonate more to because it's got more energy to it than the fabricated New Year of the calendar that the world uses. That's not a particularly healthy calendar, and I'll explain that in one of these talks, but I don't want to go into that right now, but it's not a healthy calendar. The Chinese calendar, which actually attempts to honor Mother Earth, is much more valid. So since that time, I've really been alerting people to wake up as best you can and embrace your secrets because they're coming on up. And just clean up your act. Because again, you know not when the end is.